Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Macabre Derek here once again for another RPG rant. This time we're going to discuss the patrons, those otherworldly things that are from beyond, be them gods or more nefarious or alien in Dungeons and Dragons. Let the rambling begin. So, you just decide to end up rolling yourself up a warlock, maybe a cleric or paladin. Not sure what's wrong with you. The nefarious and the alien powers are right there, but hey, I'm not here to judge. Here's the thing I find most frequent about it, though, and it's strange. It's strange because this has happened time and time again. Tell me if this has happened in your game, where the cleric rolls up and says, I'm a cleric of this god, or a cleric of that god. Maybe your warlock has dealings with nefarious powers, or has talked to some kind of eldritch horror, not something that exists in the other, but something that exists in between realms, in the space unexplored, the one that people just blink by and aren't even sure exists because, well, what happens if you look there? It might lead to some bad times. What about the paladin? When the paladin makes an oath, it's not just to their word. It's something far greater. What is that? The thing that these classes have in common is inherently that individual, the cleric, the paladin, the warlock, have no power. No, they don't. It's something that's often forgotten about. They like, why don't you heal me, right? Said many adventurer to a would-be cleric. And how frequently does that cleric say, it's not me doing the healing. It's not me who mends your wounds. Or, to put it mechanically, it's not the cleric that's giving you the hit points. No. It's something different. It's the patron, that god, devil, or eldritch abomination. That which lies beyond, reaching through this individual. This individual's a lightning rod, as it were, for divine and otherworldly power. And through them it manifests. But they themselves are not the ones that create or bend it. They're simply looking for a boon from something else, a favor, as it were, being able to ask that which is on high and have reality bend accordingly with nearly a whisper. I want you to think about that, because here's the thing that is missing almost every time. I am playing, let's go a little old school here. I am playing a cleric to Paylor. No, some of you guys forgot about him. And why would I invoke his name on this channel? Well, I'm not picky. But think about it. A cleric who says, I am a cleric of Paylor, is an avatar of this god. He is a physical manifestation that moves forward and performs this god's will. And yet, from level 1 to level 8, 9, 10, 11, and beyond, this cleric doesn't actually interact with their god much. They might pray to them. They might make sacrifices if they're actually doing a half-decent job of role-playing it up. But by the end, the cleric themselves is not actually interacting. This is a little less so with the paladin, but the paladin should have strong ties to that god. And when I say interacting, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have a one-to-one conversation with a god, though that could be interesting and would still, even if it was ham-fistedly done, in your worst day would still be 10 times better than ignoring that aspect of the character entirely. The one that I think really gets the shaft in this particular bit is Warlocks, though. Because Warlocks almost inherently have plot hooks, drenching with plot hooks. Yeah, you like plot hooks, don't you? Well, we just put some plot hooks in your plot hooks. God, I think I just dated myself. That being said, think about what a warlock is. It is asking the Fae, the Eldritch, the Infernal, to end up stepping in and offering a boon of power. That could be in the form of a spell, that could be in the form of insight. But they always want something. Perhaps the devil is looking to corrupt your soul a little, so he starts pushing events to end up leading you down that path of damnation. I will grant you my power, but it comes at a cost. Maybe, just maybe, you have a eldritch creature who wishes to tear through reality and come into the material plane. It needs it for some unknown alien reason, something that our brains couldn't fathom because we have no concept of its own need. But it needs, and it will claw its way into this world, and it's going to use you to do it. After all, why else would it give you its boon, its strength, allowing you to manifest its power? What about God? Oh, deities are rich in almost every single pantheon, even if you're taking the Dungeons and Dragons pantheon at face value. There are plans within plans. The smallest seed can sprout into something world-spanning. Change the world with a single gesture and a few words. And do you think that these patrons are allowing their benefactors to go completely unleashed? Well, maybe. Maybe they just know that this benefactor is going to inherently do what they want without even so much as the asking, because their inherent action will in turn provide them with what they need. Maybe not. Maybe a more direct approach. Maybe a messenger from on high. God sends a messenger to interact and build his faith. Maybe a warlock communes with blood ritual in order to but hear a whisper from beyond. Maybe a paladin goes to the altar, places his sword point down, hanging on to the guard as though it was a crutch as he kneels, pressing his head against it, and whispers, renewing his oaths, and has a vision. That vision is the world that this deity to which he's given oath to starts to shape and say, this is the goal. And by your oath, you will keep it. You will make it. You will craft it. The player, on the other hand, well, they need something, of course, right? Just because you're gaining powers, well, let's be honest, the players more often than not won't think of it in these terms, not initially. You have to teach them this, is that these are their powers, their spells. They're the ones who choose it. They're the ones who command the magic, this divine right. Until they don't, perhaps they fall out of favor with the patron. and need to earn back that favor. Maybe they need to scout out a new patron before their original one comes back to collect their due. You got plot hooks within plot hooks, friend. Now, as a player, one of the things you need to be able to do is show that this patron of yours is one of the most important aspects of your life. They have lifted you from mediocrity because it's not your power. Remember that. At all times, the Lord giveth and the Lord can taketh away. So remember, your ability to shape the world is entirely dependent on appeasing this deity. It's almost like signing yourself up for slavery. You are, in the end, a wielder of these great boons, and they are great. You are given insight that a wizard can only hope for. While a wizard can understand magic and twist reality around him to see it how it sees fit, you have the strength of something greater. Something that, quite frankly, this reality couldn't handle. Think about that for a second. If you're a GM, DM, whatever choice you want to make, flame tender even, for appropriate equivalents, I should say. You may show these boons, these benefits, grow it. Look at the character and say, we need to flesh out this relationship between you and what it is that signed you up. You need to be able to build it up, and that relationship should be one of, well, it should be one of trust. Maybe ironclad judgment, but you trust the deity to not lead you astray, or that you will have a place in the grand design, or you will be rewarded for your service, not just in boons, but in riches, in fame, in glory, in power. There's a reward at the end of the tunnel if you serve. But in the end, it's yours to explore. And too frequently, it's gone unexplored. Waved away as though it were a swing of a sword or a slip of the tongue. These magics, these ways of twisting reality to a whim, are gifts given by things far greater than man. To not flesh out that which gives the boon is doing it a great disservice. And you're doing yourself a disservice by not fleshing it out and playing to it, using it for plot hooks, use it for motivation, use it to define your character. You can be more, most assuredly. You can be more than just a cleric. You can be more than just a warlock. You can be more than a paladin. Though I imagine that last one's a lot easier. No. But the fundamental building block needs to be there. And if you can find a way to bring that in and really make it so that the player knows that when they signed that devil's contract, well, they knew what they were getting into. And maybe they just don't want to do it. Maybe it's dangerous. Maybe it goes against their moral conundrum, or their moral compass, leaves them in a moral conundrum. The devil may even feign to care. After all, it's a manipulator. It doesn't care how it gets you to do what it wants, just so long as you do it. What about the Eldritch to understand the universe from the outside, to look at the clockwork absurdity that is reality and go, it's so dull and predictable because I can see the gears. I can see the wheels within wheels and understand them and their purpose. Enough insight to make you go mad. What about the cleric? Show that sacrifice. Don't just appease the gods. Make it a point. You want to see your faith renewed, so you will sacrifice maybe a goat, maybe a villager. But you will give to commune with the on-high spirits and the gods that worship at their feet, just to get a glimpse at the purpose you have been chosen for. Bring that to your campaign the next time you see one of these classes. Think about what it is that gives that kind of power. And I can assure you, you'll never look at those classes the same way again. If you found this video helpful, feel free to press the like button. And if you like to stick around for more of these videos, well, you know where the subscription button is. Feel free to leave a comment, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I might do a video on it soon. Well, until next time.